Hello everyone, this is Beastly Eel here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about episode 3 of season 2 of Loki. This one was titled 1893. So this episode gets weird fast. So they find out where Renslayer goes, and it is 20 something years before 1893. Now I'm drawing a blank here. Yeah, and the reason for it is we actually get to see Miss Minutes and her both talking about what the plan needs to be. So what happens here is we find out that Miss Minutes was given an order by He Who Remains if he was to be terminated, and that the book would need to be given to in a very specific spot at a very specific time, um, and it has to be done rather quickly. So Renslayer was asking a bunch of questions to Miss Minutes, and Miss Minutes was basically saying, just do what you're told. She says it slightly nicer than that, but not by much. Renslayer throws it in, and then they go into the future of that timeline. So what happens is a branch from the sacred timeline gets formed, and a new timeline is created. She throws the book in, and apparently it turns out to be Victor Timely, who learns the ways of the TVA, and spends most of his life basically, basically building up all the diagrams, machines, and devices that were inside the TVA handbook. So Loki and Mobius makes it to the time where she had dropped off the book, didn't see anything out of the ordinary that they could tell. Then they jumped into the future of that particular timeline, and obviously they noticed things were different, but weren't 100% sure what. So they start looking for clues. They find out there's some sort of ghost clock that is causing harm, which they both realize is obviously got to be um, Miss Minutes. The other thing too here that I want to make clear is Loki wants to find what Renslayer as quickly as possible, and it's not that Mobius doesn't, but Mobius likes to spend a lot of time looking around and enjoying the sights, which makes me think we're going to see his variant at some point, or his real life um, in the Sacred Timeline. But I digress. Let us move on. So, with this, they finally find out that Victor Timely is using a temporal device or whatever. And it was that particular word that triggered the two of them to go there because they wanted to know exactly what was happening. So, they get there, they see Renslayer, and they see none other than Victor Timely, who is a variant of Kang. Now, Victor Timely is of this timeline and of this era. So his machines are based off the TVA, but they do not work the way they're supposed to. So the device he's showing off is the temporal loom, which is supposed to harness the energy of time and create energy. So that being said, um, a lot of people wanted to pay for his things, and he's kind of like, well, sure, you have to pay me the right amount, blah, blah, blah. He meets up with Renslayer. They start to make eyes. And they all start to get out of there. And they meet up with Mobius and Loki. It becomes a whole thing. The device blows up, and they start looking for Victor Timely. Now, one of the things I want to make clear in this is they make Victor Timely in this show. I don't want to say incompetent, but his machinery is not perfected. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that he has all these designs, and the technology is nowhere close to what he's looking to do. Although he's able to do things with it, he's not able to do what these particular devices are designed for, which I think is a huge detriment to him and his portrayal. They also portray him as a stuttering, shy, nervous guy, which I find very interesting, but also very intelligent in the sense of not just um, So not just intelligent in the sense of what he's seen in the book, but also intelligent in the sense of understanding human behavior a little bit and knowing where to hide and not hide and where to be found and not found, which I think is entirely, I think, probably overlooked by a lot of the audiences. That yes, his invention intelligence might be lower than what we're expecting, but he's still a very intelligent man overall. So anyway, they all go looking for Victor Timer. Sylvie comes and tries to kill him, and it becomes a huge fight. They get on a Ferris wheel and all. They start getting into a huge fight again. Loki gets her, not really gets her to let him escape, but they blast each other, and the force of it sent everyone flying, and Victor Timely and Renslayer get away. And Sylvie's ticked off about it. Mobius and Loki start looking for them, and they get back. So Victor Timely and Renslayer get back to his, what we are assuming his home, and it turns out it's not. But anyway, and she's basically saying we got to get back to the TVA, and he's like, no, I need my inventions, and so they take a boat to go to where his uh, warehouse is, and on the ship and everything else, how Renslayer is basically talking about how they should be partners. And that's when Victor Timely and Miss Minutes decide that she's going to be knocked off the boat, put into a, what's it called? Oh my gosh, what's it called? Lifeboat? Spare boat? Lifeboat. Um, and go on without her. And so Renslayer is ticked off, and Miss Minutes basically explains to Victor Timely that, hey, she used the word partnership. You should be the only one in charge. And when we get to the his warehouse, we notice that he's built a lot of stuff for the that should have been part of the TVA. Although some of his devices look functional, they are not 100% where they need to be. And there's this huge back and forth with him and Miss Minutes, which is creepy as all heck, to the point where she wants him to create a body for her so she can be his girlfriend. That's when Victor Timely shuts her off. Because apparently Kang did everything, gave her the power to basically be a sentinel being, except for the fact that he did not allow her to have a body, which I find very obvious why, especially now, that she would fall in love with him um, in all of his variants. So anyway, we now have Victor Timely by himself. We have Renslayer come in. We have Sylvie come in, and we have Loki and Mobius come in. So now there's this big, huge debate on what they're going to do with um, Victor Timely. Loki basically convinces Sylvie that the only way for her to get her peace is if he fixes the TVA enough that her universe can still exist so she can live in peace. She's not happy about it, but she agrees. So they take Victor Timely out of there. Mobius and Loki go with her. She tells them she's going to take care of Renslayer. She uses He Who Remains um, tech pad, time pad, opens up the portal to the end of the universe, kicks her in it, and leaves her there. Now, the way this episode ends has to do with Renslayer and Miss Minutes talking, and it's basically the fact that Miss Minutes is like, we're going to have to work together, and we are going to, I'm going to have to tell you his deepest secrets, because I know all of them, and there's one about you, and I don't want to tell you because you're just going to get mad. Now, that's how the episode ends. So, where I think this is going, right? I think we're going to see Renslayer become, or attempt to become, um, Kang himself. Now, in the comics, she portrays as a Kang variant in the comics. My apologies. So it would not be all that shocking that she would try to, especially in the world um, at the end of time, that she would not try to create her own persona and become a Kang variant and try to take over the TVA. So I'm thinking that's what we're leading towards, which I'll be very interested to see how that goes. I also think Victor Timely is not going to be a villain, um, even with the technology build. I just don't see, based on the guy we see, I don't see him being evil. But we shall see. I could be very wrong here. Overall, very much looking forward to where the rest of this series is going. Honestly, they're doing a great job with this. I'm super excited about it. We're already halfway done with this season. We have 3 more episodes and we're done. So we're going to be seeing some heavy stuff happening right away. So let me know what you guys think about this episode in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please like and subscribe below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a great night.